You're hanging out in the House of Sunny podcast, where it's always sunny, mostly because of your host, comedian and YouTuber, Sunny Loman. Want to know what Sunny and her friends are thinking about this week? Well, here she is, Sunny Loman.
Welcome. I'm here with sidekick Doug from The Rational Capitalist. Hey, Doug.
Hello.
And Ashley on headlines. Hi, Ashley.
Hey.
I had lined up a nice string of funny comedians for the next few weeks, and today we were supposed to have one of them on, but he canceled because he got the flu.
Ooh.
Yeah. I guess he's puking. He wrote to me and said he got out of bed yesterday for the first time for like an hour, for the first time in a week. So I think I believe him. Does he have
a doctor's note?
I should make him get if you're going to be rescheduled on this amazing, popular podcast, you better have a doctor's note. Otherwise, we'll feel like you're standing us up. I did get snubbed. I wrote and asked somebody to be on, and they snubbed me.
Ooh.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who was it?
That was my first snub. I'm not naming names.
It wasn't like Jerry Seinfeld or something.
Well, it was Jerry Seinfeld. I wasn't going to say anything.
He's an asshole.
Yeah, he's a jerk.
Yeah.
Okay, but we'll reschedule him. It was going to be Steven Cruiser, and he's a friend of mine. I was on PJTV with him a few times, and he's really funny.
He's great.
Yeah. So he's out doing stand-up now, so he's probably got some really good new jokes to tell. And then next...
He's practicing standing you up. Wah!
Wah, wah, wah. Hey, I'm not paying for that.
Well, it's free.
Yeah. It's free to be stood up. Nice.
My jokes are free.
He's my headlining stand-up today.
He stood you up. Stand up stands you up. Okay.
All right.
Got it.
I'm sure that joke has never been told. That sounds like an original.
Well, I was working on that all night.
No one's ever made that.
That's what I came up with.
That pun before ever. Okay, we'll reschedule him, but today we're going to just talk amongst ourselves. We have lots to talk about, actually. Next week, we're going to have I was so excited about this string of comedians, and we'll get some more comedians, but next week, it's going to be Rucka Ali. He'll be on. He's a song parody guy. If you don't know him, he's a YouTube star. I mean, he's literally a YouTube star, and I just
billions of views.
Yeah.
Billions.
Well, and he said to me once, he doesn't even care what he gets on YouTube because he just sells everything on iTunes. He sells his songs. Oh. So I was looking at his videos. I'm like, geez, you got 14 million hits on a video. And I'm thinking he must make a ton on YouTube. But that to him was like pennies compared to what he's making on iTunes. So dude is a successful song parody artist, and he will be with us next week. And then the week after that is Christmas. We'll have to figure out something special. And then the week after that, I actually have Lou Perez, another comedian who I just think is awesome. He's got a bunch of political stuff going on. He's kind of a libertarianish type dude. And he runs a site called We the Internet. It's more like it's a sketch comedy channel.
Right.
So call the show and leave us a voice message at 707-681-5834, and we will play your messages. We got a call, you guys. I'm going to play it right now.
From our fan?
From our fan. Here it comes.
From all of our fan?
Here it comes. Ready?
I would like to hear just more meowing. From you, and also Doug, if possible. I want more understanding of the meow.
First of all, dude disguised his voice. I'm super creeped out.
Yeah.
And he wants meowing, but not from me, Doug, from you.
No, he said both. I think we've got to give the person what he wants, though.
Okay, go ahead. You start it out. Out.
Because I went on the last one, I did sort of a meow, meow.
Yeah, that was cute.
Because you were claiming,
and I went meow. That was my meow.
And I was not even aware that cats can meow like that they can growl. I thought that was always just a...
Please, you've never heard a cat fighting in your neighborhood? Like, are you being serious with that? Or are you just like?
I'm totally serious. Well, I didn't realize that some pets believe the world is their oyster and they just randomly come to your house and start attacking your pets.
Or just come in your door and sleep in your bed.
After thinking about that last week, I'm now all in with your neighbor. I'm defending your neighbor. You sound like a horrible neighbor.
I don't know what to tell you. I'm a great neighbor. My cat is a great cat. Only haters would feel that way. And she's crazy.
But I have a reason to hate you. I mean, she's a little crazy, but you've driven her to madness with this cat.
By putting wrapping paper in the garbage can.
Your cat's eating her food. You've got the wrong recycling stuff going on.
If you put your cat food like outside and then you get upset when another animal comes and eats your cat's food, that's on you. No,
your cat should know.
Right.
Cats should know.
Okay, let's move on. This is stupid. Okay. This is stupid. Okay, so we got that call. Okay, I think we meowed a little bit. We're done. No more meowing.
We'll edit it out.
But I also want to say you can support the show and my video work at Patreon. Join my elite squad and you'll get some really cool rewards. Hopefully we'll be able to get this mug and t-shirt by Christmas. And if you don't get it by then, it's Ashley's fault. I just want you to know. Ashley is my graphic designer and she had to go to the gym yesterday, so she didn't do it.
I had to get my fitness on. Leave me alone.
Listen, Ashley works out a lot and I really
don't even work out that much.
You don't, but I really do respect and admire that she kind of started this, like, what was it, a year ago or just over a year ago?
A year and a half ago.
And she goes regular on the I mean, it's like sacred time for her. And I really admire that she's done that. And I know it goes against your personality to be such a stickler about it because Ashley is a people pleaser. And so to put that time aside and be like, nobody's getting between me and this hour. What is it? 3 times a week?
Yeah. Yep.
So
Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
That's it. 3 times a week, 1 hour. Nobody gets in the way of it. I mean, you've been incredibly good about that. Yeah. And I know that goes. So anyway, congratulations to you. I think that's great. And I just wanted to give you crap, but I don't really mean it because I know you get a lot of crap. Isn't it funny that in the culture, like you can be given crap for doing good things? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like sometimes like there's judgment with working out too, though.
Like, who the hell do you think you are taking care of yourself? What is that? What do you mean?
No, it's not that. Like, I don't know. I don't know if you're not in that space. Sometimes people just view you as crazy. Like, why would you spend an hour going to the gym doing that? It's weird. I don't know. That's how I felt before I started doing it. Like,
oh, really? You thought it was weird?
Yeah.
I think maybe that's a Minnesota thing, Ash, because...
No, I think that. I don't know. I never, like, if you would have told me, like, 10 years ago or 5 years ago that I'd go to the gym 3 times a week, I'd be like, whatever, you're crazy.
I have a friend from high school who had a similar kind of transformation, I guess, about a year ago. She started going, I think, every day. I think she works out every single day. And she's a mom of 2, has a job. And she just added that. And she is so ripped, like just incredibly ripped. And she was never ripped. And now she's like 40, now she's older and ripped.
It's a great space away from the kids. Like, I have a great gym and they have a really awesome childcare center. And I know my kids are being watched by someone that I like. And I can just kind of focus on myself. And I have friends there and I work out with friends. So it's just, I really enjoy my time there.
Your gay friends.
So, yeah.
Yeah, those gay friends of yours.
Yeah, they're great though.
Ashley told me she works out with a bunch of lesbians.
Do they drive Subarus?
Probably.
That's how you know.
That is a bigoted stereotype, Doug. I drove a Subaru, and that was during my lesbian period, but that doesn't matter.
You're a lesbian? I didn't know that.
It was just a phase.
You were dabbling. You're experimenting.
Right.
My husband drives a Subaru. Does that make him a lesbian?
You ought to check into this. Maybe he's making a statement that he wants to be with a lesbian.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
So anyway, Ashley's working on our mugs. She's working on our t-shirts. Hopefully, I mean, we might get them done today. We might get them out for Christmas. I guess don't freaking count on that. Don't take that to the bank. But there are a few of you who did donate enough to get one of these things, and I really want to get it out to you ASAP. So we're working on that. Also, the main way you can support the show besides cold cash, is subscribe on YouTube or iTunes, like, comment, share. And I just wanted to say something about this sharing thing. I've noticed something on social media, on Facebook specifically. Something has changed since just a year ago. Like, I took a year off. My health forced me to take a year off. Something has changed, and people do not see my posts like they used to. So there's like a handful of people that keep commenting, but no new people are seeing my posts. And I know this because I'm getting like no new likes. And that is so unusual. It used to be that the more you put out, people would share it, people would like it, and then other people would see it and you'd get some new likes. And maybe it's kind of a slow dribble if I wasn't really busy. But every day I could kind of count on some new likes. And this time I'm like it's just not happening. Just total, it's basically staying the same. So I'm getting I think it's weird. And I don't know what the algorithm is, but it would actually really help me out if you guys would share my posts and like them if you want to support the show. Although I hate to say stuff like share to support my work, because honestly, I should be posting things that are shareable and that you want to share. So I hate asking for shares. I feel like that's super lame. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, it's pretty lame.
Just post stuff that people will share, and then they'll share it. But the problem is that I'm not reaching anybody. So it's like I gotta beg people to share so I can reach some people so I can get some shares.
Is there like notifications too that you can turn on with YouTube and things like that, so you can people can know when you post new stuff?
Yeah, you can go onto the page and say get notified when this page posts stuff. And yeah, do that if you haven't done it, people, because you're not seeing what I'm posting. I'm not posting a ton, but I don't know, something really weird has happened in the last year. And I was complaining about this to somebody, and they're just like, why are you even on Facebook? You should be tweeting, you should be on Instagram. And I think I'm moving in that direction.
Yeah, I think Facebook's algo is, if not SJW, shut down.
Yeah, I think it is.
I'm pretty sure that's there.
I think it is. I think
everything is throttled.
Yeah. And I just saw a report that they're going to hire, or YouTube though, is going to hire 10,000 new reviewers.
Ooh.
Who are going to review videos for content. And already, like I released last week's podcast on YouTube, and it was demonetized from the moment I hit publish. And there's some setting that's demonetizing the podcast. I looked at the tags. I looked at the title. There was nothing in it at all that could be considered even slightly controversial.
The cat meowing?
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm talking about my cat. And then, that's it. I mean, it was just nothing there. There was another one that was demonetized, but it had like sex and racism in the tags and title. And I thought, okay, lesson learned. I won't do that again. But this one had nothing and it was demonetized. So you just never know. You just don't know. They're just doing it to people like me.
Leave sex in, take racism out. You'll get shares.
And probably get monetized.
Yeah, absolutely. You're not in the right. You're not in the right corner of the internet for that, though.
I've never been able to get into Twitter. It just seems like a cesspool. And also it seems like you'd have to be checking it you'd be constantly looking at it. It doesn't seem fun to me.
No, people that tweet a lot are obviously totally OCD about it, where they're tweeting every 5 or 10 minutes. And
well, they kind of creates that though, because it's just a fast moving newsfeed stream. And I don't want to get sucked into that at all. Instagram, I think I could like Instagram. I've talked to Ashley about this because she's an Instagram person. But I'm having a hard time. I feel old making this comment, but I'm having a hard time learning it. I'm having a really hard time learning it. Isn't that weird?
I think they also have new algorithms too, because I've heard some bloggers complain about the same issues you're having.
Oh my God, I'm so sick of these social media companies. They all deserve to implode.
I think they will. I think there's going to be a major change over the next year too. If this censorship type stuff keeps happening, there will be alternative platforms.
Yeah. Well, it seems like there's a huge gap in the market. I've heard that as people have developed alternatives, that the major companies have swooped in and offered them, a huge amount of money to buy this competitor, and it's so much money that people have just taken it.
Or they shut them out. Like there was an alternative to Twitter that Apple refused to carry in its app store. So if you have an iPhone, you literally can't get it. So
yeah, right.
And
we know that they're all buddies. Like, and Tim Cook has turned Apple into this little political platform. So, as well as messing up all the products.
Yeah, everything gets worse. I think that's what they do. They just sit around trying to make these things worse.
I think that's
my
what
iPhone
they do
is
too.
way worse.
They're just plotting. How can we make this worse? That's what
they've been coasting. Coasting for 5 years.
They just don't know how to make good things, and that's why it gets worse. So, yeah, they are coasting. And they will be able to, because Steve Jobs left a hell of a legacy, but they'll be able to coast on that for a while. But obviously the products they're not as good looking. Like I just have a 10 now. It's not as good looking. It's got some weird bumps and things and weird formatting and some ugly design that I just know Steve Jobs never would have done. He never made anything ugly, ever. Ever.
But they're just making marginal improvements or creating marginal problems. I think there's got to be something sort of transformative coming for this to go to a new level. Everything just seems to be coasting. The social media networks, they're getting tired and kind of lame, and now they're starting to censor people and get politically involved, and the products aren't as good.
So what's going to happen?
I think, well, if I knew, but but I would almost, one of the things that I think needs to be transformed is the fact that people are texting and driving constantly, and there's no way you're going to stop people from doing that. I think you can harangue them and sort of like the drunk driving meme, but I think somehow they're going to have to integrate these devices into your car in a way that you can interact and still be a little bit safer than actually sitting there. How many times do you drive down the street and you just
What does this have to do with social media?
Who's literally texting or Facebook posting?
What does this have to do with social media?
What?
What you're saying. I said, what's going to come next? And you said, integrate texting in with the car. Like, what does that have to do with social media?
No, I'm talking about just technology.
You're talking about smartphones. Yeah, okay.
Well, Sunny, you have the new 10. Have you noticed when you drive, it automatically puts it in do not disturb, and you can't get texts or you can't really operate your phone?
No, is it supposed to do that?
I think so. Mine does it.
Here's what drives me crazy about it is that, so it's got that face recognition. So if you're not pointing it at your face, it won't open. So if it's in my lap or whatever, and I got to open my phone, I can't just grab it with my thumb and open it. I have to hold it up. And of course, I'm not allowed in California to even touch my phone. That's illegal to touch my phone in my car. But if I'm using GPS or something, I don't text and drive, but I use my GPS and drive, and nobody's going to stop me from doing that. But now I've got this phone that requires I put in a 6-digit number every time the phone goes to sleep. So I don't know. It's kind of a problem. The other thing that is a problem with this phone, unrelated to my car, is this new headphone thing or lack of headphones, which everybody was talking about, where it's they give you a set of headphones, but there's no headphone jack. And the problem that I'm having is I can't be on the phone with my headset while it's plugged in. So if I'm in the car and it's charging, I can't talk on the phone. Unless I buy those floaty earbud things.
Oh, you should. They're so great.
Oh my God, no. I will lose them. I will lose them in a week. Where am I going to put those things? Those little tiny things?
They come in like a little case.
That's just not happening. I'm going to lose them.
I'm
not going to carry a case with me. And then I have, pockets. The phone fits in a pocket. I'm not going to also put a case in my pocket. And more often than not, I don't have a pocket. So I'm going to have my phone in one hand and the headphones in the other. Now I have no hands. I mean, this doesn't work for me.
Your headphones go in your ears, not your hands.
So I walk around with these things in my freaking ears. That's where I carry them. I carry these things in my ears. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Just leave them in your ears all the time. Don't ever take them out.
I'm just going to tape them to my face.
There
I'll
you go.
just put some masking tape on them and tape them to my face. Yeah, that'll be great. So, and then I have this thing. I bought one of these, like a few years ago, I bought one of these fancy Bose speakers I plug my phone into. And for some reason, a year and a half ago, the Bluetooth on it stopped working. So this means I can't use my new phone with it because it takes a jack. Well, I have to get an adapter. And actually, I think my phone came with an adapter. So there's that. I'll figure it all out anyway. Whatever. Let's move on. Our first topic is this bullying topic because I don't know if you guys saw this viral video. This kid, Keaton Jones, his mother recorded him and put it out on social media. And it's him just saying, it's really kind of heart-rending. He's just been bullied that day. And he's just, why do they do this? And he tries to be like, it'll get better, like a message to other people who are being bullied. It'll get better. And you can tell he doesn't believe it, and like that you could just hear like somebody's been telling him these bromides. And it just made me think, first of all, I would never put my child who had been bullied, I would never make a video of her and put it on social media. That's number one. Mm-hmm. I would never, ever do that. Mm-hmm. You want your kid to be bullied even more? Film it. Film the fact that he's bullied and put it out on social media. Not to mention, I feel like there's just something really weird about people putting video of their children in a public way on social media. I do put pictures and some videos of Lucia online, but it's private. It's in my private, personal, controlled, secure, not very secure, but somewhat secure newsfeed, And this stuff is tagged public and it goes viral. And now this poor kid who's just been bullied, now all of these classmates are seeing that he's been bullied, are seeing him cry about it. And he looks like he's 14, 15 years old, 13, 14 maybe. That's just wrong. Don't you think?
Yeah, it's a new class of victimhood. You're posturing or posing your kid as a victim. That's kind of sick. It used
sick.
It used to be, the narrative used to be that dealing with bullies is one of the, rites of passage. When you're a kid, everyone deals with bullies.
Everyone. I don't know anyone. I don't know a single person that wasn't bullied.
Except unless you were the bully.
But even the bully, generally speaking, they get their problems because they're bullied by somebody in their family or, they're not happy kids.
And there's a new report out that kids are assholes.
Oh, yeah.
It's just shocking.
A new report?
It's like any society of people. It's like there's always a percentage. We talk about the sexual harassment and stuff. There are always going to be a percentage of men who are jerks to women. And that's the reality. And do we whine about it and do Me Too statements, or do we somehow figure out a way to protect women, figure out how women can protect themselves, come up with rules and cultural norms that prevent most of the incidents from happening. And I'd say the same thing with bullying. It's like, how do you eliminate bullying? You give your kid a set of freaking boxing gloves and you put him in some classes and teach him how to punch. That's how you stop a child from being bullied. Or you go down to the school and you find a big freaking kid and you give him some money and you tell him to protect your child.
You pay protection money.
That's right. You hire your child a security guard. I guarantee you, I would have never been, if I was bullied kind of regularly, I grew up in a bad neighborhood and I was like the white girl. If my mom had gone down to school and found some big black girl that was a couple years older than me and said, you make sure nobody messes with my daughter, no one would have messed with me. Ever. And it would have cost my mom $10 a month, you know? Done. Or you can become their lesbian lovers. That would have worked.
You can get a Subaru. But
they teach your kid how to fight or get them a friend who's going to protect them, who can protect them. And that's all you can do. The administrators can't be everywhere. They don't know what's going on. I was just in the gymnastics class the other day watching my daughter. She's like a little tiny girl. She's 3. She's in a class with other 2 to 5-year-olds. And she's in this long line and there's 2 teachers and a group of 10 kids. And I'm watching one girl pick on my daughter. I'm watching her kind of all close up in my daughter's face and she's kind of picking at her. And I'm like, the teachers aren't doing anything and they're right there. They're right there and they don't even see it happening. So that's 10 little kids and 2 teachers in the same room and they don't see it happening. You cannot control this stuff in a high school or a junior high with all the corners and the lunch breaks and the between classes. So we can't just keep going to the school and you can't keep having kumbaya meetings. No bullying. Oh, and like in this case, this guy put this video out and all these celebrities are, given this kid stuff, which is great, but his face should not even be, this shouldn't have gone viral. He should not be publicly humiliated as a victim of bullying.
Yeah, it's like, look at me, I'm a victim. That's all. That's the message. Is I'm just a victim. Therefore,
give him stuff and be nice to him.
Yeah.
How about teach him how to punch? Anyway, or where's his dad? Where's his freaking dad?
I've noticed another thing as a result of this anti-bullying campaigns with my own kids, which is that any conflict in their life they now regard as bullying. So they'll come home and say, oh, so-and-so bullied me, like, 6 or 7-year-old. And to me, and now what that translates is to, I got
someone
into a
was
minor
mean
conflict
to me.
Or some kid said something mean to me. So it's not clear in their minds now what the difference is between just a normal conflict and, bullying, which is, something I think completely different. It's a totally separate.
Yeah. I mean, in this kid's case, they told him that he was ugly. They told him his nose was ugly. And that to me is not bullying. That's normal. Everybody has been teased. And then they poured milk on him. And I think that's bullying.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an escalation where people need to get involved and it's horrible. But I just think that the way they're portraying it is and it's similar to the other kinds of things that are going on in the schools where any sort of conflict whatsoever, and to a kid, they can't distinguish these things. Any conflict is bullying. So, they're creating this sort of like fantasy for these kids that will just go through all years of school and you will have no conflict with any other kid. You'll never get into a fight. No one will ever say anything mean to you.
And you won't ever learn anything.
You'll go to your safe space.
Right. We'll never challenge the Marxist indoctrination that you got in high school. We'll just further it and we won't let you be exposed to complicated ideas.
And it's all about feeling and victimhood and emotion. And there's very little in the way of how to, combat or how to deal with conflicts, how to resolve them, or how to fight back against someone.
Yeah. And it's like this sexual harassment stuff. I think that stuff, I mean, like I said, there's always been predators. There's always been male jerks. But a big part of why this is kind of a new thing, our society's, it's new because of feminism. It's new because women are in the workforce and they're not around the old protections that they used to have. You know, the campus rape culture or whatever. What are these girls doing on campuses getting drunk and going to frat parties anyway?
Right.
And I remember going to house parties. I went to one house party. It was so crowded and I got groped and you couldn't tell who was groping you. You were wedged in like sardines in this house and hands would come out of nowhere and grab you. And you couldn't tell who it was. And, you know, you'd look around and everyone's looking all innocent. And I got out of there and I never went to another one of those. Like, I'm not going to do that. Mm-mm. But, you know, all these girls are in these sort of vulnerable, compromising positions. And that's new. That's new in our culture. It used to be that women weren't allowed into situations like that. Like culturally, I don't mean, you know, but I guess they had rules on campuses and stuff, curfews and things like that. And the reason is because men are jerks, or, you know, a percentage of men are predatory and they're jerks, and women are vulnerable to that. And so the way to fix it is to create these cultural, unfortunately, this kind of flies in the face of feminism. And I don't want to take steps back in like women's equality, but young women in particular who don't really know how to handle themselves. I think the older you get, the more you kind of know how to handle yourself. The less worried you are about what people think about you. But, you know, women should be protected. That's all I'm saying. I feel like the authorities and the men around women need to protect the women. And then on top of that, I think women should learn how to fight too.
But isn't there pushback against any suggestion that women should be treated differently, that there needs to be protection?
Yeah, there is. Like, I mean, somebody was complaining that an older person was complaining. You know, when I was in college, girls had to be in their dorm by 11. There was no curfew for boys. And I'm like, well, yeah, that's because you're in danger. Like, I mean, would I have liked that when I was in college? No, I felt very free and I went where I pleased whenever I pleased. And I felt like a grown up and I was not infantilized. And there is something to that. But at the same time, I don't think we should pretend that that doesn't put you in more danger. Like if people had said to me, okay, you can have all this freedom, but with freedom, you should learn how to fight. You should learn how to defend yourself. You should never go alone. You should know that there are predators out there. You've got to like compensate. You're going to have to figure out a way to protect yourself. Yeah, it's like stupid that we act like the equality means that we can be out there and nothing bad's going to happen to us. That's not true. That's not true. And you can't fix men, quote unquote. You're not going to fix, just like with bullying, you can't make it so there's no bullies. You can't make it so that the administrators stop all bullying in a school, teachers and so on. It has to start with the culture and with the kids. And even then, you're not going to eliminate it.
You know, it's interesting because I made this point before, but it goes to a bigger, like almost political point where there's this concept of safety. And, you know, we could all be safe. The government could keep us all safe if they kept us in cages, you know, and they kept a federal agent outside your door to protect you 24/7. You know, the purpose of these institutions is not safety. It's trying to protect you, but ultimately it's up to you, especially in a free, the more freedom you want in a free society, the more vigilant you have to be in protecting yourself and protecting your own person.
Yeah, but I also think, like, would I want to send my daughter to a school that protected women, knowing that a percentage of those boys, those young men who aren't fully developed yet themselves and who maybe don't have the best, you know, parents or whatever, that there is going to be a percentage of them who are predatory? I mean, you know, knowing that my 19-year-old daughter doesn't really know how to protect herself because she's grown up in a nice, unlike me, I grew up in a bad neighborhood. I sort of grew up looking over my shoulder. I was way more kind of like me going to the house party and then never going back. I knew girls who just continued to go to those things. It's like they couldn't connect. This isn't like right. This isn't a good environment for me. And they kept going back to those stupid parties. Now, what if you're a parent of one of those girls? I don't know. I mean, so if they're going to have more freedom, then they have to know what to do to protect themselves more. But even then at 19, you're kind of just stupid. You put yourself in all kinds of vulnerable situations.
Right.
And you need an adult around saying, maybe not such a great idea. Or if you go together, don't leave each other alone. Something like that. I don't know.
I always had the buddy system.
Did you?
Yeah. I never went anywhere without a girlfriend, ever.
That makes you a racist. Or a misogynist.
So how did you know?
You hate women.
How did you know to do that? Like, did your parents tell you that?
No, because I was scared and I just wanted a friend.
Small town girl in the city.
Yep. Or I was with my brother.
Yeah.
You know, he's a year older than me, which, you know, sometimes sucked, but at the same time.
And Brett's big.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's her brother.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yep. Brothers, fathers, fighting. When I was a kid, when I was in junior high, my mom took me to a basic self-defense class. It was like an hour. And we practiced different moves, like stomping on a foot, poking out an eye, breaking someone's leg. We actually broke broomsticks in the class to see how easy it was to break someone's leg if you do it at the right angle with your foot.
Ooh.
Things like that. You know, we threw some punches at a guy in a big padded suit. And I think that's really good for women to experience throwing a punch. Because we don't play like that when we're young, and we wouldn't even know how to do it. Anyway, like that week, literally that same week, there was this kid, and he didn't mean anything by it, but his like way of touching girls was to physically pick on them. And he was just trying to connect. You know, I realized that, and I think he was a nice kid at heart. He wasn't like a bad kid. But he would often come up behind girls and he would take their arm and bend it back behind them. You know, and it would just
not a nice touch.
Aw, that's cute.
It would completely immobilize you and it would hurt, you know. And I mean, he wouldn't hurt you, but if you moved, it would hurt. Or he would, you know, he'd raise it up until it hurt, and then you would just go still and you were just completely under his control. And he'd do that in the hallway, and he'd do that, you know. I know his name. I'm going to out him. His name was Mike Cheeseman. So this guy, Mike Cheeseman, I mean, like I said, really not.
Is this a Me Too?
Yeah, it is a Me Too. I don't think this kid was a predator. Like, I never felt creeped out by him, but who I was, I would get angry at somebody trying to be in control of me, and somebody so easily being able to have physical control over me and just incapacitate me like that. And so, like 2 days after I did this self-defense class, didn't even think anything of it. And this kid comes up behind me and grabs my arm, wrenches it up my back. And without even thinking, I lift up my foot and I slam my heel down on his toe as hard as I can. As hard as I can. And I'd learned that in the class. And he immediately dropped my arm. He screamed. He took his shoe off. He was holding his foot. He never did it again. And we were friends after that too. I mean, it didn't ruin our friendship. I laughed. I laughed in his face.
Now, contrast that story with the video of this Keaton kid. You know, maybe your mom should have just filmed you crying in the car.
This boy keeps wrenching his arm, my arm, and it's not right, and I'm vulnerable. Yeah.
Maybe you would have gotten $50,000 too from a GoFundMe.
Oh my God. Yeah. They made a GoFundMe for this kid. Some stranger. This is like freaking weird. These people are not poor. They're not asking for money. There's nothing to pay. Like, what are they going to pay?
Yeah.
And there's no medical bill. There's nothing going on here. And somebody they don't even know started a GoFundMe for them and raised 50 grand. But okay, here's where the story takes a turn. So I think we've already covered, like, should this mom have videotaped him? No. How do we combat bullying? We've solved that problem. So the next thing that's funny about this story or interesting about this story is that turns out the mom's like a Southern conservative type.
Yeah, she has a Confederate flag.
She has like a picture of her with an American flag and a Confederate flag, which honestly, until a year ago, wasn't exactly all that abnormal. I mean, Duke's a hazard. I mean, let's be real. For most people, it just represented the South. It wasn't really a racist thing.
Right.
So anyway, turns out she's a conservative. They pulled up some post of hers either on Twitter or Facebook. I don't know. I read it. It doesn't make really a lot of sense. It's around the Charlottesville thing, but she's not really supporting anybody. Like, it's not actually.
It's a weird quote. It doesn't make sense.
The quote itself makes no sense. It doesn't
Although
mean anything.
Although she says Americans are butthurt, which is funny.
But they are, right? She's talking about butthurt Americans. Yeah. She says, dear butthurt Americans, which honestly is the entire left. So she is probably talking to the left, but you can assume that. But then after that, it's unclear what she said, and I'm not going to read it here. It's just, you can't take that and go, oh, she's a racist, which is what they're doing. It's absolutely a meaningless quote. But the guy who did the GoFundMe took it down. And then like other people are starting to rescind their invitations for this kid. Cause like apparently if you're a conservative and you're from the South, we don't care that you were bullied. We cared yesterday, but now we don't care because you're a Trump supporter and Trump's a bully. That's why. Because you support bullies. So why should we help you when you're bullied? You're asking for it.
Yeah, they should bully him now. They should turn this around and like actually pile on and go bully this family and the kid more, these GoFundMe people.
Yeah.
Now that he's been outed as the byproduct of this racist woman, you know, they should go and harass him and tease him more.
Right.
Get an Antifa rally together.
Get an Antifa rally together. Yeah. So I think she's had to take down some of her social media or something like that. I mean, it's just, you can't be conservative in this country. It's so crazy. It's really going to be a civil war. I mean, I don't see any other way out of this. And it was not like this before Obama. I blame Obama for all of this. I mean, it was a little bit like you definitely, there was a fringe George W. Bush hating kind of group, but it wasn't like this.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's in the universities too, and he's a product of that culture of, you know, the political correctness, the cultural Marxism.
Yeah, but when the leader of the country engages in that kind of crap, and now we have another one on the other side, and that's, you know, Trump doesn't take any of their shit. Actually, I don't think he dishes out the shit until he gets the shit, but he doesn't take their shit, and that makes them so insane. And moving on to the latest harassment, not the latest because nothing new, but they're trying to resurrect the story of Trump harassment now that Russia has turned out to be a nothing burger.
Yeah, they're pivoting.
They're pivoting over to harassment. If we've got to lose Al Franken, then you're losing Trump. I mean, I actually think maybe they're sacrificing Franken to get to Trump, you know?
Oh, I think this whole thing is a political calculation. They're purging their own. Now that Bill and Hillary are no longer relevant, they're purging all these sexual predators so that they can set up a run by this Kamala Harris, or what's her name? Kamala Harris.
I don't know. What is it?
I don't know. Kamala Harris or whatever.
Kamala Harris from California.
Or Michelle Obama.
Why? What is that? Why them? I don't know. I don't understand.
Because they're polling well, and I think they want
because they're females. I'm trying to relate this to the harassment story. Okay.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is, you know, that's the perfect antidote to this sexual harassment, Me Too backlash that's going on right now. Is now that fits perfectly into
whatever. Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, whatever. I mean,
we need a woman to come in and kind of be this cultural.
But I want to talk about this Trump harassment because before Trump, when Trump was in the primary, I really thought he was a jerk. I think he is a jerk. I think he's an asshole. I think he's probably one of those guys. He's definitely one of those guys. But I'm starting to believe that the country needed an asshole. Not because I like assholes, but because we almost needed a backlash. Because it would be great to have a leader like, say, Benjamin Netanyahu, like someone who was ideologically deep, intellectual, and tough. But even Netanyahu is kind of a weenie. I mean, he can't really fight back against the left. He has to be a diplomat. And I feel it is refreshing to have somebody like Trump who just doesn't care and doesn't back down and does whatever he wants and says whatever he wants to say. And he seems, I kind of admire how well he's stood up in the face of the incredible hostility coming from the media and Hollywood against him this whole time. Not to mention the deep state, the investigations and the swamp. So, I mean, I know, I believe that he harassed these women. I think he obviously there's no rape here, but there's some, like, he kissed women. He was a cad. He was like a creepy, I don't know what creepy. He was a guy who abused his position to get in a kiss here and there and a grab.
Right.
And that's a jerk. And I want Al Franken to resign because he grabbed ladies' butts. I think that shows that he's really immoral. And I think it shows Trump is immoral. But I don't think that we voted for, I didn't vote for Trump, but I don't think people voted for Trump because he was like a moral, upstanding dude.
Right. He's not a paragon of moral virtue.
In fact, I think they voted for him because he isn't. But he's on the right. So somebody on the right who's willing to punch back, really punch back. Don't you think? Yeah. That's why we don't care that he harasses women.
Yeah. First of all, I actually wanted Franken to stay just because I thought it was funny. Because every time he came into public, I think it would just be I hate him so much.
Oh, I hate him so much.
To me, it's kind of hysterical to see someone who's so compromised, like, try and deliver public.
Well, he might. He didn't actually resign. He said, "I will resign in the future."
Oh, he didn't. I thought he stepped down. Oh,
he didn't resign. He said he was going to in a few weeks.
Oh,
that's weird.
In his little press conference he held, he never actually apologized. If you notice that, he never said, "I'm sorry."
He never said he was sorry.
And then he took shots at everybody else.
Didn't actually resign, and he took shots at everybody in a very unapologetic way. So,
what's the most amazing thing about this whole situation is if Trump hadn't won, say Hillary wins, she needs Weinstein's money, right? She needs all the donors. So I don't think Weinstein ever gets exposed, and I don't think any of this stuff ever really happens. Not to mention the exposure of, the DOJ and the FBI and all the corruption and these various agencies that have now been exposed from, the IRS and so on and so forth. So I just think that whatever Trump's, what turns out to be the case here about him, just cleaning out the Clinton Obama people is so healthy politically. Just getting rid of these people and exposing this and just imagine the world if she had won. None of this would have come to light. I think it would have just been business as usual. And,
do you
no
feel
one would
slimy putting up with a sexual harassing jerk as your president in exchange for that? Does that make you feel slimy? Because, like, at first I thought, okay, this is a compromise. Like, I'm having to put up with this slimy jerk as my president in order to drain the swamp a little bit, which I think is being done. I love his pushback on the media. I love that makes them crazy. CNN especially. I love watching them squirm. I don't know if you saw this recent exchange between CNN, Jim Acosta, and Sarah Huckabee.
Yeah, that was great.
Where he's like, I'm going to ask my question. I'm going to ask my question. And she has to tell him repeatedly. He already asked his question. She's moving on. And he is such a oh my God, he's just so self-absorbed and thinks it's all about him. He's going to ask his question and he pushes and pushes and pushes. What a dick.
But if it turns out that Trump committed a crime in terms of like sexual assault, it would be different. If he's, the groping type, or some women say that he made some passes at him or something, I completely expect that.
There are
and I
several
think everybody
reports.
knew that about him.
There are several reports of him just kissing women on the lips or going into the back, at one of the pageants. He even admitted this on Howard Stern, going into the back where the girls are getting ready, knowing that they're sort of half undressed. No men are allowed back there, and he's back there because he owns a place, and he's sort of laughing about it. I think he's a jerk.
If you polled men, honestly, I bet 86% of them would have done that.
No, that isn't true, because of all the men who had the opportunity to do that, that's not a common thing. Like, no men were allowed back there. But Donald Trump is the kind of guy, he just does what he wants. I think he's the kind of guy who's going to say, well, I'm going to just do it and see if I can get away with it. Yeah,
I believe that. No, he's not a great guy.
He's not a rule follower. He's just going to do what he wants. He's not a great man. So what I'm asking you is, does it make you feel slimy that that's the trade we've made?
No, because I knew this about him going in. Does anyone not think that he is that kind of a guy? We all know what kind of a guy he is. I just think given the choices we had, which was Hillary and the continued corruption of the government, plus the kind of policies she favored, I think he was the right guy at the right time. I would love to have some brilliant, ideological genius who's also a terrific politician and orator, but that's not what we got. And he pushes back, he fights back, and I think the exposure that's gone on here is worth it.
Yeah. And in terms of his actions as president, I'm pretty pleased so far with what's been happening.
Yeah, it's not terrible. It's not great. It's not terrible.
Yeah. It's at least in the right direction.
Yeah.
So it's a break. It's a break from the crap, the progressive. We're still headed in that direction pretty quickly because the progressives control everything, but I
think he's created a third party. He's really created a third party, and he's opened the door for other third party candidates to come in. Because he's a Republican, I guess, but really, most of the Republicans hate him as much as the Democrats, especially the typical establishment Republicans. Yeah. So he's opened the door for other people to run, which is a point you made before, and we're not just being bowled over by political correctness and cultural Marxism and the same kind of crap that was going on under Obama for 8 years. And I think that's good. I think it's healthy.
There's definitely more people in the culture, loud people in the culture, speaking out against the left. Even people who don't like Trump, like Ben Shapiro, he's a star in the last couple of years. He was almost a nobody during before the primary.
It's exposed the sort of like violent, authoritarian instincts of those people, and it's really brought them into the light. In terms of like what they're willing to do, the corruption of the media, their willingness to try and shout down or shut down their opposition violently or politically. It's good for people to see this, even if Trump isn't the greatest ambassador, for the right. Just to see these people exposing themselves as sort of authoritarian would-be dictators, I think it's good for the country to see.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. It's weird for me to dislike the guy. I think he's somebody I would never want to work with or have to interact with. I'd probably, I would, and yet I'm like, yeah, well, okay. It's all right to me that he's president, even though I kind of shudder at that. And when he won the primary, I just felt kind of sick about it for like a month. But yeah, it seems to be okay. Anyway, all right, let's move on. I was going to do this moveon.org video where I'd play it and we'd comment on it. We can do that another time.
Oh, that thing is awful.
Every week they put out videos, and I think we should just make it a regular thing where we play one of these suckers because they're so twisted. So twisted. Lots of fun. But the other thing that happened, just to get into the last piece of news here, is the Golden Globes nominations were announced. And I said to Doug, Ashley, so should we talk about the Golden Globes? He said, I don't know any of these movies. And then I said to Ashley, Doug, so should we talk about the Golden Globes? And she's like, I don't know any of these movies. And I don't know any of these movies. Like, I never go to the movies anymore either.
So that
We're all
tells you
old with
everything you need
freaking
to know.
kids. But also, none of these movies are like the ones that I was particularly interested in seeing. So had I even seen movies, this wouldn't have been the movies. Although, best motion picture, there's one on here I did see, Dunkirk. I'm just going to read out the best motion picture drama nominees. It's The Shape of Water, which is a weird fantasy movie about a woman who mops floors who's like, I don't know if she's dreaming or what, but she like saves this merman. Anyway, it's a weird movie. The Shape of Water. The Post, which is, the progressive wet dream about journalism having integrity, which doesn't exist anymore.
That's a good one.
And Dunkirk, which we all know what that is. Call Me by Your Name, which is a movie about an older man who takes a young lover. And 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I don't know what that is. So the only one I've seen there is Dunkirk, and it really was not that good. Definitely not worthy of Best Motion Picture.
Oh,
it was okay, but no characterization, no plot really. Just kind of, I realized that he's just highlighting a particular battle, but it just was long and I don't know. It just wasn't like a good movie. I think a good movie should have more of an arc, more of a plot. That's my bias.
Besides Dunkirk, what was the last movie you guys have actually gone to in the theater?
That might be the last movie I went to in the theater.
Is it Coco?
Oh, the animated.
Yeah.
I heard Coco's good.
It was good.
I was going to see Blade Runner. I really wanted to see that on the big screen. But before I went to see it, I wanted to watch the old one because it's been a long time. And I rented it on Amazon and watched like 20 minutes before I got interrupted because I have a 3-year-old and I never got back to it. And so I was going to rent it again and then I never got around to it. It's just the sad mom story of not being able to find an hour and 20 minutes, 2 hours to consume one stupid movie. And so that you can go to the movie and see the sequel.
Right. Yeah. I had a similar story about Blade Runner. I recorded on TV. They had like the extended director's cut or something. And I never could get through it. I keep turning it on and I'd either fall asleep or something would interrupt me. I just never finished it.
Yeah, exactly. Like
it's an amazing movie.
You have the moment of time to yourself. And what do you want to do? You just want to go to bed. You don't want to even watch TV. Or I find that if I have time, I have to consume something kind of smaller, like a television show or a stand-up comic or something I can do that doesn't require a lot of concentration.
Mm-hmm.
So movies suck. That's what we've concluded.
So movies suck. Best motion picture, musical or comedy was The Greatest Showman, Lady Bird, I, Tonya, Get Out, and The Disaster Artist. And I don't want to see I, Tonya. These like kind of, that almost feels like a made-for-TV movie to me. Yeah. Lady Bird looked kind of interesting, but I'm tired of movies about people who hate themselves and are angsty. It's just exhausting. You know?
Yeah.
Lady Bird is about a mother-daughter who are at odds. And she's a screwed-up girl trying to like figure herself out. Come on.
If you want
I'm exhausted.
That, just go to real life.
I know. Go to Starbucks and talk to the barista.
Go to Walmart.
You'll meet her. Ask her about her mom, and you'll find the whole story is right there.
Yeah. I need another hour and a half to contemplate the misery of the mother-daughter relationship. Give me another hour of it.
Yeah. And then the disaster artist. And my rule about James Franco is I don't go to his movies or see anything he's in. So I can't see that because he sucks. I think he's probably talented, but I don't like his choices. His choices are psychotic, nihilistic. Everything I watch that he does, I regret it. I regret it because it's a waste of my, I don't want that in my head. I don't want that story, those people in my brain.
Yeah.
And this looks just like that. I mean, he's on some new show. I can't remember if it's HBO or whatever. I think it is HBO. It's,
It's about hookers. Right?
Yeah. What is the new show called?
I don't know, but it takes place in the 70s, right?
Yes. And so it kind of looked a little interesting. And so I broke my rule. I've had this rule about him for a while because as soon as he went to college, he just became, like that. He just became icky. And The Deuce, that's what the show's called.
Yeah, yep.
And so he's just become an icky guy. And I mean, he looks like a drug addict. He looks like he's hooked on some serious drugs. He's pale and sweaty all the time and with circles under his eyes. And he was young and handsome. And then all of a sudden he started looking that way. And he went to college. Yeah, but you're old.
It's not drugs.
You have kids and you're old. He doesn't have that excuse. It's drugs. So
it might be the cheese curds in Wisconsin too.
So he did the show The Deuce, which kind of looked interesting. I watched the first episode and I'm depressed. I'm like, that's it. I had a rule for a reason, and that's why I don't watch this guy.
I think it's weird he plays a twin. That kind of bugs me. I don't like that there's right.
That is the least of the problems with this movie.
I don't know.
He is a pathetic human being, and everyone else in this show is pathetic and sad.
It is sad. It's really
so
sad.
If you want to go watch sad, pathetic people do sad, pathetic, dark things and destroy their lives,
go to
Walmart.
Watch
it. Yeah, or go to Walmart. Or these days, even
or watch any station.
Yeah,
that's everything. Every show is
that's everything. So we don't need that in our movies, right?
That's right.
That's right.
You got to get Hulu and watch shows from the 70s and 80s, like I do.
Is that what you do?
Yeah.
What are your shows, Doug?
I'm watching the Rockford Files again, which is one of my favorite all-time shows. I love James Garner, and I secretly love Heart to Heart, which is the campiest, cheesiest show of all time, but I love it.
Heart to Heart. Yeah, I remember. I used to.
Yeah, with Jonathan and Jennifer.
Love that
Hart.
show. Yeah.
He's like a millionaire couple, and they're always solving crimes.
Yeah, no, I totally loved that show. What a benevolent show.
Yeah, it's great.
So much in the 80s was like that. Just benevolent. Just a couple of romantic people solving crime.
Everything was light. You know, there wasn't. Even the more serious shows were there's always lightness to it, like Moonlighting and shows like Remington Steele and all. They're all just kind of campy and funny, and they're a little hard to watch now because they're so dated, stylistically. But if you're from that time, it's fun to go back to it. And also, I realized that all plot conflicts revolve around the lack of cell phones, which is frustrating. If you watch a 70s detective show, literally,
if only they'd had a cell phone, they would have been fine.
It's like, how do we call the chief of police? How do I tell my dad he's in trouble? There's just no way to contact or communicate. They're leaving messages. They're stopping at payphones at the side of the road. They're calling on CBs. There's just no way to contact anyone.
What you're saying is there should be no crime right now.
Absolutely. Maybe that's why it's gone down.
Maybe it is why it's gone down. No one's ever postulated that.
You can call the chief.
Yeah. You can film it. And you put criminals behind bars. Everything's on video.
Just text them the video. You're watching these shows and it's like, it puts you back into the 70s where it's like, you're just thinking to yourself, can't you just take a picture of him with your phone and then text it to the cops. Just do it,
Call him, warn him the guy's coming.
Yeah, he's got a gun.
We can't. He's in a warehouse.
Yeah.
There's no phone there.
There's no pay phone.
Oh my God. That's so funny. Yeah, that was a good era. I want to watch Buck Rogers again. I loved that show, and I wonder if that's probably super cheesy with Iggy or Ziggy, whatever that robot was. And I remember thinking that the woman was so beautiful, like his love interest.
Yeah, he watched it
so beautiful, and she always wore that tight, shiny suit.
Yeah, they have those plastic,
metallic, stretchy jumper.
Yeah, exactly.
That showed everything, and so she had to be in like incredible shape. Can you imagine being that actress? Oh my God, she's probably doing squats 5 seconds before every take.
I'm telling you, it's like another world. If you go onto Hulu and watch 70s and 80s TV shows, it is seriously like it makes you realize how
dark things have gotten.
How awful our culture is.
Yeah,
it's so different.
Things really have gotten dark. I'm going to do a whole thing about comedy on that because before, back in the 80s, you could joke about anything, and they did. And it was all kind of lighthearted, but, definitely taking on anything they wanted to take on. Nothing was taboo.
Right.
And then it became more taboo, and then Obama just crushed comedy. Because you couldn't make fun of Obama, or it was racist. You couldn't make fun of anything on there. You couldn't make fun of anything any of his administrators were doing. And or you got pounced on by the left. So and 8 years of that, and now that's the norm. And now comedians won't even go on college campuses. And every comedian says this, not just comedians on the right.
No, it's like Jerry Seinfeld type.
Chris Rock. Chris Rock says I don't go to college. I'm not going to colleges. And he's definitely a progressive. Black Lives Matters freak. All right, you guys, we've been talking for longer than an hour now. That's the longest show we've ever done. So I'm just going to end it there. Thanks very much for joining us today. If you're enjoying the show, consider becoming a patron over at patreon.com/House of Sunny. Next week, our guest is Rucka Ali. He is a YouTube star. Go look him up. That's it. Call our phone number. Should I say the phone number again? Leave us a message, 707-681-5834. Leave us a message and we'll play it on the air. Also on Facebook, I ask every week, hey, what do you guys want me to talk about? I guess I'll do that on Twitter too next week. I do want to hear from you. We'll talk about what you want us to talk about. And we'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the House of Sunny podcast. Go check out Sunny on YouTube at her channel, House of Sunny. Everything Sunny does is fan-funded. And because she's likely to get kicked off and demonetized on every platform at some point, please support her over at patreon.com/House of Sunny. Become one of Sunny's elite squad and have access to behind-the-scenes footage, t-shirts, special events, and more.